Top of the top, everybody. It is Tuesday night, a little earlier than usual. Still, what time is it? About 9:46 Pacific Standard Time, and today we are making key lime pie. So I got all my ingredients out here, and I tried to do some of the work already so you guys don't have to sit through it. But I really love key lime pie, and I've never made it before, honestly. So this is going to be a first for me, but I know it's going to be fire because the recipe that I have is fire. So I know it's all good. But what we got today, the crust. So we're going to be using a graham cracker crust. Of course, I'll have all the detailed measurements in the description of this video, but we got graham cracker crust. We got 4 egg yolks. We got some Eagle brand sweetened condensed milk, butter. We got some lime zest. Now, key lime pie calls for key limes. I went to my regular grocery store this week looking for key limes. Couldn't find them, so I had to use regular limes. Now, regular limes are fine. It comes out with the same result. Just the key limes are a little bit smaller and they're not as sour. But the finished result, you won't know the difference, or at least I won't know the difference. When I went to the store, the lady at the store who worked there was basically like, it's not in season right now for those, so we don't have them. We just have regular limes. And after doing some research, it really doesn't matter if I use key limes or regular limes. It's still going to have that lime taste, and it's still going to taste really good. So I wasn't really tripping off of it anymore. Of course, I got my bitters. You know, y'all know how I get down. Got to have this in there. And then, so I'm going to do a couple of things just to show you guys. I've pretty much already done these steps, but I just would like to show you how I do the steps. So if you've never done this before, you know how to. So let me move some of this clutter out of my way that we got going on over here. Now, the actual making of the key lime, you want the zest, right? And for those of you who have never zested before, you can take your grater, your cheese grater, and you can decide which side that you would want to use for the zest. For me, I'll be using these, let me show you. I'm going to use this. This is the tiny side over here. So when I take the limes and I scrape them, it will only give me the part that I want. This is too big, so I can't do much over here. So I'm using the smaller side. Now, when you're getting zest, you just want the green part. You don't want the white part. So as you're doing this, you're just going to scrape it, and you're going to go until you start to see white. Once you start seeing white, that's enough. You don't need to go anymore. So you need to change your position of the lime that you have in your hand. So I'm just grating this, and this actually took me a long time because I was being very extra and I didn't want to overly grate, because if you grate the white part, that's going to mess up your pie a little bit. You're going to taste that white part, and there's a difference between the zest and the white part of the lime, and you don't want that. So let me just show y'all again. You see my lime? You see how I'm starting to see the white? Once you get to that point, you don't need to go over that section anymore. So that's how you get your lime zest. I need 2 teaspoons of that in order to use the amount that is actually going to go into the batter. So word of the wise, for those of you who have any type of dietary restrictions, this ain't the pie for you. I'm going to tell you right now, this ain't the pie for you. You're using 2 Eagle brand condensed milks for the base of this pie. So that alone should let you know how sweet this is. I am not going to deviate from the recipe. Usually I deviate from the recipe and I start adding in things like more sugar. Won't be doing that today. I think this is more than enough. So I'm following the recipe to a T. This is my graham cracker crust right here that I haven't mixed in with the butter yet. And it actually calls for it to be weighed. So that's 180 grams. I got my scale right here. And yes, my scale is for baking purposes. I'm going to say that right now. My scale is for baking purposes. That's the only reason I have it. So I measured out, or I weighed out 180 grams for my graham cracker crust. And I will be mixing that in with the butter that I have here. So that's pretty much everything. Last thing I would like to show you guys is you need 3/4 of lemon juice. So what I've done is I have basically a juicer or a little orange squeezer here. And what I've done with the orange squeezer is I've put this strainer underneath it. So I only want the juice. I don't want the lime residue. I just want the juice. So right now I'm at a 1/2 cup. So I'm going to go ahead and split one of these in half. And then I'm just going to squeeze this on top of here. And I believe I need one more. I need about 2 more. Once I have done 2 more of these, I'll have my 3/4 cup, and then I'll be able to continue on. But first things first, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my butter and I'm going to take my graham cracker mix. I'm going to mix these together and start. Okay, 1/4 of sugar is actually going to go in this bowl with the graham cracker crust. And remember, this is 180 grams, which basically should be 1.5 cups of graham cracker crust. Let me just go ahead and mix this in. This recipe calls for 6 to 8 tablespoons of butter. I seen that typically 7 is a good amount because you want this to look like sand. Like you want it to be able to form a shape in your hand and kind of stick together, but you also kind of want it loose at the same time. So I'm not going to add the whole thing in at the same time. I'm just going to pour in like maybe half of the jar, and then I'll start mixing this in. And then once it gets to the consistency that I like, I'll go ahead and put it in my pie pan and start formulating it to how it needs to look. This crust will go into the oven at 350 degrees for 10 minutes, and then it comes right out. All right, I want to show you guys something. So, see the consistency? It hardens up. That's what you want, but it still breaks down like sand. That's the consistency you want. So, let's go ahead and put this in a pie pan. And I'm going to take that same cup that had the butter in it, and I'm actually going to just smash this down. I'm going to smash this down until it covers my pie pan and it gets to the consistency that I need it to be at. I need all the walls covered. I need everything covered. So that's what I'm going to spend my time doing. All right, so got my dish done. This crust is going to go in at 350 for 10 minutes. All right, 10 minutes is up. We're gonna pull this out the oven, see what we're talking about. All right, my timer is off. Crust looks good. This is what the crust looks like. So I'm gonna let the crust cool down just a little bit. Take these mitts off. And now it's time to do the rest of this. Again, I'm giving y'all a warning. If y'all got dietary restrictions, this is not the pie for you. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour in my sweetened condensed milk, both cans. I didn't realize that this is pretty much key lime pie. I never knew. I just knew I liked key lime pie, but I never knew why. And now I realize why. This is something that should only be made once a year. It's too sweet, but it's fire though. Oh, safety tip: these cans. when you are using any form of canned good for anything, make sure that you wash the top. You know, when you get these from the grocery stores, just think about it. You get this from the grocery store, how many people have touched it? And then not only that, when it gets shipped out, all the bugs, all the rodents that are on those trucks. So I would highly advise you guys, any type of canned good that you are using, make sure you wash the top. Make sure you wash the whole thing, but especially the top, because like I just did, I had to pour this in here, right? So you don't want any of that nasty residue in your food. All right, so those are the 2 cans. I got my lime juice. I'm gonna go ahead and pour that in here. I got my 2 teaspoons of lime zest. I'm gonna pour in here. And a dash or 2 of this. And also I have my 4 egg yolks. So this recipe calls for egg yolks. So I'm gonna put those 4 in here and we will get to mixing. The egg yolks act like they don't want to come out. There you go. We'll just mix this up. Wrong utensil. Y'all can tell it's late. You see your boy tired, messing up already. Ain't even using the right utensil to mix this. Now, I am going to pour this batter into my pie plate. All right, I think that's good. I'm gonna spread this out a little bit just to make it a little even. And I think that looks good. So this is the finished product. I'm actually going to shake the sides a little bit to make sure that it's set evenly, remembering that this is hot. So just give it a little shake. And this will go into the oven at 350 degrees for 10 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in my oven. Once the 10 minutes is up, I'm gonna put it on the cooling rack for it to cool for 20 minutes. And after that, it goes in the fridge for an hour. All right, so this is fresh out of the oven. I got it on my wire rack. It's gonna sit here for 10 minutes. It'll go in the fridge for 20 minutes. And then after that, I'll bring it back out because we gotta do the frosting. All right, y'all. I got the pie in the fridge. It's about ready to come out. But before it comes out, we gotta make the frosting. So I got 4 tablespoons of powdered sugar. I got a teaspoon of vanilla. And I got my heavy whipping cream. I got a cup of heavy whipping cream. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour all of this in here. And I'm gonna let this whip for about a good 2 minutes on medium. And once it whips on medium for about a good 2 minutes, I'm gonna turn it up to medium high, whip it some more until for another 2 minutes, for a total of 4 minutes. And then it should be whipped up like whipped cream. All right, y'all, so my topping is whipped to perfection and the pie is done. So I forgot to tell you guys this. When you put your pie into the fridge, take some parchment paper and put it over the pie. You do this so that it doesn't start to curdle up at the top. And I'm just gonna dump this on. Now, if you want to be fancy, you can take a piping bag and put your whipped cream in there and then make little dollops. I ain't doing all that. I'm gonna just dump this on the top, move it around on the top, and that'll be that. But in the meantime, I said I was gonna give y'all a word, and so I gotta keep that promise. I want all of you to spend time reading Psalms 91. Psalm 91 is an important psalm to remember. I actually know it by heart, and it's good to know that psalm or get familiar with it because it's a protection prayer. That whole Psalm 91 is a prayer of protection. It starts off saying, "He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress." You know what a refuge and a fortress is? That's protection, right? So as you continue reading that psalm, it goes into talking about pestilence and people dying, 1,000 on your left side and 10,000 on your right, and no harm shall come to you. It talks about the angels holding you in their hands, and it's just a protection prayer. And for you guys who are Bible believers like me, it's really important that you get familiar with that and incorporate that in your prayer life. With everything that's going on in the world right now, there's a lot of chaos. There's a lot of destruction. There's just everything that's going on. I mean, North Carolina, South Carolina floods, Texas floods. Then we have earthquakes going off everywhere. It's just a lot of calamity. There's a lot of violence. There's kids killing their parents for taking their phones. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. The last video I did, I mentioned, praying before you leave the house and praying when you get up in the morning. And I want to highlight that and stress that again. Your life depends on it. We are at a time where we're in the birth pains and things are going on every day. Something new is happening, and we don't have the luxury of not praying when we leave the house or when we do anything. So whatever it is that you do, make sure you pray about it. When you're about to leave the house to go to work, make sure you pray about it. When you're about to go to sleep at night, make sure you pray before you go to sleep at night for a peaceful sleep and to wake up the next day. Every day is not promised. It's not a guarantee that the next day you're going to wake up. So the least that you can do is spend some time on your knees praying and talking to Him. So I wanted to leave y'all with that. I don't have anything else for you. I enjoyed making this pie, even though it's super late right now. But I hope y'all enjoyed me making this. I hope you learned something today. And like always, y'all have a good night. Be blessed. And don't forget to say your prayers.